Hello friends, I am Hemant Gawade and welcome back to the another session of this workshop on commercial influence on employability and production. In this session, I will share my views on effects on production. As we know, past few years were not that much good as far as industry is concerned. Our GDP and economic growth is not as per the expectation. Industries are facing issues. Construction, automobile industries are experiencing decrease in sales. There might be internal as well as external factors for the same. Political, legal, environment, social, and many other factors have if affected industry and their sales figures. As long as there will be demand, there will be supply. But if demand is lower, it indirectly affects on the production because the unsold inventory may result in blockage of the capital. The shortage inventory may result in loss of revenue opportunities. Economy is in critical stage. Production and unsold industries are issues in front of industry at least. I have tried to focus on some selected aspects on adverse effects on production due to COVID-19 and non-COVID factors.
Now, two important decisions are very important for any industrialist. The first one is PPC, that is production planning and control, that is what is to be produced, when it is to be produced, how it is to be produced, who is going to produce, and it has to be ensured that it happens accordingly. The second important decision is 3M, that is the best possible utilization of men, material, and machines. Now, there is a strong and positive relationship between the production and sales. The linkage of production, stock, and sales should be studied. Now, is it just a COVID-19 which has affected negatively on the production, or there are some other factors that is involved? Now, as we have studied that production is very closely linked with the sales and stocks, if there are no sales, there will be no production of the goods. Now, as far as auto sector is concerned, auto sector is experiencing low demand in spite of many offers in October, December 2019 and March 2020. In spite of offers of some thousands or lakhs on car, the automobile sector was not able to achieve the expected sales target. Now we know that Maruti is the best selling car in India, but even in the month of April 2020, Maruti was not able to sold even a single unit of the car. So, what type of production method is to be followed by the organization? Whether it should be a batch production, whether it should be a mass production. Because the company has to ensure that the stock will be available as and when required or at the time of sale. There should not be any excess stock or there should not be any shortage of the stock. So whether the company should follow a LIFO method, FIFO method or just in time method. But it is very difficult to predict that how much will be the sale because it totally depends on the market conditions. So to understand this, it is required to study the production process first. The company purchases the raw material first. Company starts converting raw material into production. The production is in the process that is treated as work in progress. Then the production is finalized and it has been stocked. After that, there is a demand for the stock. If there is demand, the stock is sold into the market. If the stock is sold, fund is generated from that particular stock, and from that particular fund again a raw material is purchased. Now, if there is no demand for goods and services, there will not be any fund generated and the raw material could not be purchased. So if there is no sale, the goods will remain idle in the stock. So it is very much important that stock should be sold and the fund should be generated so that the next process or the production cycle can be continued. Let us move forward. Now, what issues industries are facing with this 3M? Let us see this 3M one by one, that is men, material and machines. Now, let us see issue with M1, that is material. Now, we know that there are some restriction on the movement of goods and transportation. So the raw material is not available for the companies. Again, if the raw material is available, specific part or specific product is not available with the companies. If the suppliers are ready to supply the goods, there is no transportation facility. We know that for some industries, we require raw material that is to be imported from foreign countries, but imports are tops due to this pandemic situation. Even there are some indirect material which is used in the production process, which is very important for the final production process. It may be a cotton, pants, oil, etc. Now it is equally important that the product which is produced should look attractive. So packing material is important. The industries were facing issues that the product was ready, but there wasn't any packing material without which the product could not be dispatched. Let us consider the second M, that is issues with men. Now it was observed that the skilled manpower that is required, that was in containment zone, or many a times the agency to which the work is given was in containment zone. There was unavailability of men, that is semi-skilled labor, unskilled labor or skilled laborers. Due to transportation containment zone, these people were not able to travel from their home to the industry. Again, we know there was restriction on the movement as per the government directions, and there was isolation procedure. So if some expert wants to come, or if some skilled worker wants to come to the industry for a day or two, it was expected that he or she should be quarantined for 14 days. That we have large number of migrated labor as a source of unskilled labor. There are many non-Maharashtrian people who are working in such categories as unskilled labor. Many migrated labor has shifted again from Maharashtra to their hometown. So due to government restriction, they were unable to come back to Maharashtra. As we know that there are many industries like construction, they largely depend on these migrated labor for their work. We have seen number of laborers who left Maharashtra due to unemployment were in few millions. After some time, the government gave permission for the local force to go for the work, but it requires team effort. Now the issue industries were facing that workers were able to come, there wasn't any supervisor. The supervisors were available, there was no manager. If worker is available, supervisor is available, your manager is available, there was no raw material, indirect material or many other factors. Now in service sector or in some other industries, government has allowed work from home. But manufacturing is a sector where we cannot have manufacturing activity from home. Let us consider the third M, that is issues with machines. Now we know some machines work for 24/7. So these machines requires lubrication, requires oiling material. Again, there are frequent repairs and maintenance of machines required. Now the issue was with the material and with the exports. The material for lubrication or repairs and maintenance was not available, and if the material was available inside the industry itself, the expert was unable to come to the industry due to lockdown restrictions. Again, there are some crane, hoist and conveyor belts. Again, it requires repairs and maintenance frequently. So due to the shortage of material or unavailability of the export, these equipments could not function. In few industries, boilers are used for manufacturing. Now, there are some kind of boilers which require 15 days or even 1 month. Get those boiler heat up and ready for use. Now, as there was uncertainty when the lockdown will be lifted or when there will be an unlock procedure, companies was unable to understand when to start these boilers or machines. What are the issues with other factors other than 3M. Now we know that companies do not produce each and every part. Many parts are outsourced to some vendors. So the vendors or the agency to which the outsourcing is given was in containment zone and they were not able to supply the products or parts that were given or assigned to them. If the vendors were ready or they further have outsourced their work to sub-vendors, so sub-vendors were not in the position to reach to vendors and that halted the production process. There are many companies which deals with the assembly work. They combine all the parts and develop the products. So assembly work was not available due to some missing parts. In manufacturing, we know when one process is completed, second process starts. So the output of one activity or process automatically becomes input for the second process. So unless and until that particular activity is completed, the second process or the next process couldn't be started. If we take example of car, which required cutting, which required welding, which required painting and all other processes. Even if we assume that car required 100 parts and if 99 products or 99 parts are ready with the assembly and the one part is missing, the whole production chain can be halted or stopped just because of that particular one item and it could not be completed. Now, what was the situation before COVID-19? According to Professor R. Jayaraman, the manufacturing industry contributes almost 20% of India's GDP. Out of that 20%, the 50% share is contributed by the auto industry itself. We have already seen that before lockdown itself, the auto industries was facing issues regarding sales. The sales was lowered by more than 15% before impact of COVID-19. There was production cuts, the orders were reduced by 5 to 10% or even more than that. What was the situation after COVID-19? After government directives, employees stopped coming to the work. As employees were not coming, some workers were coming, some managers were coming. It resulted in reduced scale of operations. Company was not able to work at its fullest possible capacity. It adversely affected on the quality of the product, cost of the product and volume of the product. Again, it adversely affected on the sales figure of the company. If the production was ready, there was uncertainty of the logistic, so the company was facing issues with material and delivery of the finished goods. There was issues with transportation, with loading and carrying goods. What was the impact of lockdown? Now the manufacturing activity due to this COVID factor shrink to 30.8 PMI, that is Purchase Managers Index, in May 2020. If we observe that in January the PMI was 55.3 and or after March onward it start failing. Now even there was unlock, industries are still not able to recover from the situation as output is lowered, company is not getting new orders and there is low demand for the product. So even in May 2020, industries are getting it hard to recover from the crisis. Demand are not as per the expectation. Now there is uncertainty about when this lockdown will be completely lifted or when will come out of this pandemic situation. Now, as far as index of industrial production is concerned, investment bank Goldman Sachs had predicted that there will be 45% economic decline in these 3 months, that is from April to June. The rating agency Moody's has slashed India's rating to the lowest investment grade level. Now, how government is supporting industries? Now, to counter all this, our Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi has declared a package of $266 billion. This $266 billion package includes fiscal as well as monetary measures. And it is said that this particular package is 10% of our GDP. Though it is $266 billion package, but economics believes that this particular package might be very small to boost the industrial growth and with this package, the industries might not be able to come out of the current situations. Expert even thinks that this particular package is very small part of the planned government spending, and the result of this particular measures might be seen in medium term and not in short range. Now let us see the lockdown and unlock procedure. When initially the lockdown has started, there was lockdown 1, 2, 3, and slowly there was the unlock procedure. Now, as far as unlock is concerned, the permission to unlock was not given to each and every industry. The priorities were set as per the priority of the industry or as per the product. The unlock procedure was started. In first stage, the priority was given to pharmaceutical, textile, food, minerals. Then in stage 2, the permission was given to agri-mandis, e-commerce, automobile. And in stage 3, the permission was given to electronic, construction, hospitality, and retail. So the essential goods and service, labor-intensive industries, export potential units, and import dependency units were classified for the unlock procedure. What World Bank report says about the GDP. Now this World Bank has released a global economic prospects reports, and as per the report of World Bank, it is expected that India's GDP may contract by 3.2% in 2020-21. A country may experience a moderate recovery of 3.1% growth in 2021 to 22. But if we compare 2020-21 and 2021-22, rather we can say that the growth will be negative. Even if we compare the data of 2021-22 that with 2019-20, it is much lesser. Now it is not the situation with our country only. Almost many countries are facing similar kind of scenario of negative growth rate. What does contraction in GDP means? What will be the impact of this contraction in GDP? Now, contraction in GDP means there will be less income in the hands of people. It will result in job losses. It will again result in low purchasing power, so less demand, so no sales. Again, it will affect on the activity of the production. Now, this particular impact of the contraction might not be same for all sectors or all type of industry. So state-wise, sector-wise, this particular impact might differ. Now, how to come out of this or how to overcome this? There are few strategies required if we want to come out of this situation or overcome this production issues. Now, what industries are thinking? Industries are thinking about the cost reduction strategies. They have already started the policy of pay cuts for the employees. Now, as we know that the labor cost contribute 20% of the selling cost, industry thinks if we are able to reduce the labor cost, we will be able to reduce the cost of production. So, industries are asking employee to take a pay cut on an average, that is 10%. The pay cut for senior employees will be higher than the laborers. Now, this may result in increased profitability of the firms. Now, the major sacrifice is required from the employees and they should be ready to accept this pay cut policies. But in today's scenario, it seems to be a better option than the retrenchment or a job loss. Now let us discuss few more measures to tackle the issue. First is research and development. Company has to invest in research and development. It has to develop some new products. The product should be affordable. We know now it is an era of LPG that is liberalization, privatization, and globalization. In globalization, the local product has to compete with international product, which might be available at very cheaper rate. Again, the product produced in the producer's factory should be of international standard so that it can again compete with the global competition. The product will succeed in the market only if it has quality. So quality is not one day activity. There should be a total quality management and quality should be improved day by day. The product should be produced with the advanced technology. So company should adopt the policy of technological advancement for production process. Wherever possible, when it comes to labor cost, material cost, or indirect expenses, as far as possible, there should be cost control and cost reduction. Company should be very serious as far as the PLC is concerned or new product strategy is concerned. Each and every product that is introduced in the market has certain life. So the product life cycle of the product is to be considered. So company may take decision of product simplification or product diversification. This has to create an atmosphere. It should produce very good quality product and it should attract people towards being loyal to their products. So brand loyalty should be raised. Few industries may experience the positive impact of this COVID-19. Industries like healthcare and insurance may go up. Companies should consider social costs, as we know that as per New Companies Act, it is mandatory for companies to spend on CSR, that is corporate social responsibility. Now we know that Tata Groups and Sri Ratan Tata has helped government by giving thousands of crores rupees, ambulance and ventilators. Even there are businessmen like Azim Premji, Anand Mahindra, Mukesh Ambani, Gautam Adani who have contributed to the nation, and the list is very huge. Now there should be shift from being businessman to industrialist. As businessman considers profits only and industrialist consider the betterment of the economy. Once Ratan Tata was asked a question that why your name is not in the list of richest people. The fantastic answer given by Mr. Ratan Tata was, we are industrialists and we are not businessmen. So these are the references which I have used. Hope our country will be able to overcome this pandemic situation and the manufacturing industry will surely come out of this. I'm thankful to you for your patience listening. If you have any doubts, questions, or queries, my details are given here. Thank you.